and welcome to the Artist Behind the Music Canadian Country series. Today we have on the show Dustin Bird from Ontario. Welcome, Dustin.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, thanks for
me.
joining me. Happy 2021.
Oh yeah, man. We're really close, like really close. I always like count it from my birthday. My birthday's right at the end of November, and to me that's just like when the new year starts. So I'm like trying to get like a month's head start on the new year.
Perfect. You know what? I think it's just never too late to start new goals and start a new perspective. I always find September is my new year. I don't know
Oh
why. I
yeah.
feel like September's always been, I guess when you go back to school, I've always released new music in September. So it's just kind of always been my fresh start. So I'm
Yeah,
living,
yeah, yeah.
I'm living in the future.
The whole back to school thing. You are living in the future. You're like way ahead of everybody. Yeah. No, yeah. For me, it's always December 1st is like that's the cutoff time. Like if I tell myself I'm going to start a new diet or something, which I never follow through with ever, like literally lasts not even the full day on December 1st. And I'm like, you know what? Like, today's a cheat day. And then every day after that is also a cheat day. But yeah, December 1st, that's the day.
Well, good luck with your diet this year. What's the plan?
Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, I feel like because we're not in the road and we're not doing shows and stuff, and I don't have to worry about like a bunch of really long sets. My cardio, my cardio exercises and stuff like that, they've just been pretty much non-existent. I feel like the pressure of being on the road and constantly like just having to do stuff really is just a constant reminder that like, oh yeah, like I also have to stay fit and stuff. But I'm sitting
Yeah.
in this room making music all the time, so it's really easy to just like not do that. You know what I mean? To just like be like, oh, maybe like I'll skip today's run, I'll skip today's workout. And I feel like everybody's feeling like that, especially like everybody just working from home and Zoom and stuff like that. When you don't know if I'm wearing pants right now. You have no idea if I'm wearing pants. And like I totally, you know what I mean? It's just like
I
I
call
totally could just let myself go entirely, and that's fine. So yeah.
yeah. No, I hear ya. I get dressed from the waist up. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
that's the way I roll, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. I don't know when I'll put jeans on again.
No, man. You don't there's no need. There's no need. This is a waste up world we're living in. So
That's right. Sweatpants and big socks all the way in this
mhm.
world, and I'm good with that. Let's talk a little bit about 2020 for you. How did you find like the pivot from touring and playing music all the time to obviously shows stopped and the way we do music kind of shifted? So let's hear a little bit about how you kind of have dealt with the hurdles and pivoted into kind of a new reality.
Yeah, I mean, like, aside from the lack of exercise and stuff like that, it's actually been really, really good for me, I think. Like, in a lot of ways, other than live shows not being around, which is definitely a big bummer. Um, I still play every single day, like all day, every day. I'm constantly writing, I'm constantly producing, and with that, like I'm constantly performing. Um, whether that's just tracking demos constantly, or I work with a few other artists and stuff, so it's like um, I'm just constantly active musically, um, and I think just being confined to the space and having nothing else to do but create is actually been uh, really fruitful in terms of getting great songs and having material to put out. If it wasn't for COVID and stuff, I don't think we would have put out some of the songs that we have put out this year. In fact, I don't think we would have made the same decisions at all. Like, I mean, we had Together We're Strong come out back in June, which was featuring like 17 great Canadian artists that I probably wouldn't have been able to work with um, if it wasn't for the times, right? I mean, we got them all together in support of a great cause, and that also let me work with great artists in terms of production, in terms of writing a song and putting that out there. So, I mean, it was like a real silver lining there to like, what, we can make the best of this. We can take advantage of a bad situation and turn it into something that's positive, and that's what we did. And so from there we were like, well, how do we continue this? How do we like make this like COVID thing something that's working for us? instead of something that we're constantly like fighting against. Um, and we were thinking, well, we don't have live shows, we can't connect with fans, we can't go out there and build fans show by show and whatnot. But I kept feeling like, by doing like the Instagram lives, the Facebook lives, and posting stuff, and even just like releasing singles and stuff, it still really felt like there was a barrier between um, what I was doing and the audience. And um, a lot of that just had to do with the I couldn't give them like the live experience. I couldn't actually give them a real live experience with Instagram Live. There's lag, and it's not great like that. And with the studio singles and stuff, it's really very produced and everything. And so we decided, like, let's go into the studio with like a few players and just track stuff live off the floor and break that barrier, break that wall down between myself and the fans like as much as possible. And we wanted to do it with new material, brand new songs that we'd never put out before. Because it would obviously be much easier to go in and just take some of the singles that we released before and do them live, but we just wanted to do a full new set of songs and do them live. And so we did that, and they're really cool songs, really personal songs, like songs that we went through hundreds of songs before we landed on those ones, and the band brought them to life in ways that me as a producer, I probably wouldn't have been able to come up with. Like, I just genuine ideas, spur of the moment type of ideas that just bring such a great live energy, a live feel. And so when you're watching it and you're listening to it, it's like, yeah, that feels good, that feels right. Like, it's kind of that unexplainable magic that can only really come from playing live. And so those songs, I'm just in love with them because they're special to me as songs, and then they're communicated so beautifully through the live performance of them. So I love that. And yeah, we just came out with Rolling Stone, and then we did Every Little Town a little bit before that, which we're now releasing in Australia and talking about over there, and we're getting a great response from Australian country fans. Just something else, that we probably would have been we would have been deep into shows, you know what I mean, with in Canada and stuff, but without shows, we're like, well, where else can we go? How else can we build fans? There's a giant Australian country market. Australian country fans are like raging for country music, so let's go over there. Let's see what happens over there. And yeah, so it's just a constant, like, I think, adapting and overcoming and trying to make the best of a bad situation. And so yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of positives have come out of 2020, even though it's a pretty rough year. Also TikTok. I got on TikTok and I love TikTok. So like that's also a plus.
It's fun and it's addicting, that TikTok.
It's so addicting. It's so addicting. Oh my God.
What are your kind of videos to make on? Do you like to do the kind of like overdub things? Do you just like to sing? Do you like to talk? What's your favorite kind of
to be honest, I've got way more videos in my drafts than I have actually posted on TikTok. Because I just like to do the dumbest, silliest stuff. And like I'm like, oh, my manager is gonna kill me if I post this. So I'm just like, let's probably not do that. But sometimes, yeah, dude, I like the spontaneous nature of the platform. And so yeah, I kind of want to get more active in it in like a bit more of a musical way, because right now, like the way that I consume and like use the platform is just like for like silly stuff, just dumb stuff. But it's a great platform, so addictive. I spend way too much time on it. So yeah.
It is addicting. I have to put timers on because you can really get lost
in
the hole. It's crazy. But I think the crazy, silly stuff is what people can connect to. As long as responsible, silly stuff, right? But I mean, look at that one TikTok thing that went viral. That guy just sipping that cranberry juice on a skateboard and brought Fleetwood Mac's song back to life, really. Doing it, right? So it's kind of like those things kind of create that connection between humans, right?
Yeah, and it's the same thing as the live off the floor stuff to me. It's breaking down the barrier because it's like much more organic. I find TikTok like way more organic than Instagram and Facebook and stuff. When I'm doing an Instagram post, I have like I'm like picking a photo and I'm like thinking about it. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. When it comes to TikTok, it's like just shoot something with your phone and like do whatever you want and then post that. And that like organic, spontaneous nature is what we get in real life. And so that's like, I think, where it's just so attractive to us, where it's like, that's what we want. Like all the best stuff in the platform is just organic, dumb stuff. And I love that. I love that. So yeah, I mean, like, um, the whole kind of being at home thing and being isolated and all that, like, yeah, it sucks, but it's given us a lot of insight and perspective, I guess, on as artists on like what truly connects with people and how we can connect with people on other levels so that when we do go back out on the road, 2022 or whenever,
Yeah.
when we do go back out there, that, not only are we connecting with people there, but we can do it after the show. We can do it in between shows and we can continue to connect with them. And then it's a better service to the fans, I think, because they never feel like um, that experience is limited to just the one show they might go to in a year or something. That experience can be carried on and continued at all times. And there's less kind of a salesman sort of attitude because we're forced to be more real on socials. We're forced to um, open ourselves up in that way. So it really takes that kind of gross marketing like feeling away from it a little bit, and it turns it into something more organic, I think.
No, I agree with that completely. And I almost feel like 2020 has been a reset button on how we connect, just like you were saying. As musicians, we're always busy, performing or doing something, moving. We don't take that kind
Yeah.
of time to slow down and really think, how can I do this differently? How can I open myself up and be vulnerable to the people that I want to connect with? And that's how connection happens the best, is with vulnerability and authenticity, right? You can see right through a fake post,
Totally, totally. And like now more than ever, I think that because like you consume so much that like the slightest bit of fakeness is so clear. It's so obvious. I feel like we're so much more aware and perceptive now. So yeah, it's like more important um than ever before to just like be yourself, to like figure out who you are and do that and like not, try and continue put on a show. And that's really hard. That's really hard to do. I mean, for me, it's like I'm constantly because I'm producing and writing all the time, not only for myself but for other artists, and I'm just listening to music all the time. Sometimes it is a challenge to be like, okay, wait a second, what is Dustin Bird? Like, what is this thing? Because at some point, it just becomes, this loosely vague entity. But um, there is a reality check when you go to socials and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to say. um and I just love that about this constant nature of connecting with people and being in front of people, because it really does force you to take a deeper look at who you are and what makes you special, what makes you unique. And um and not to worry so much about like, oh, I don't, I don't sound as sick as this guy, or like I don't, look like that or whatever. It's like it doesn't matter because nobody's gonna buy it anyways. So like it's like you just have to be you, and that's it. And I love that. And that's constantly something I'm thinking about, and in my music and in what I'm posting and all of that stuff. Just let it all go, let it all be out there, and be comfortable with that. Be accepting of who you are. Be open to opening up, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Do you have any tools that you like to use to dive in to find, your authenticity, to come back to your truth, when it gets washed over by everything else kind of going on in your life?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the tool is to just continue creating,
Mm.
um, and to kind of sift through that. So like, I'll probably write. I mean, even just this week, I've written like 5, 6 songs, and those sit in my voice notes. I send them to my team or whatever, and I'll go back through them probably in a month or something. Just kind of listen to a bunch of them, and then kind of pick the ones that I like, pick the ones that really stand out to me as something that feels good. Because I think once you step away from the art for a second, you gain some more perspective on what you were actually doing in the moment. And then it also gives me perspective on, oh, like that line doesn't really work, but like the rest of the song is great. But that line feels a little bit like just that's not me. You know what I mean? So being able to just give it some breathing room, and that's true for the content too. Normally, like you know, unless it's a story or something like that, um, I just take the content, let it sit for a bit, and then just like pick the stuff that is like actually like authentic to me. And like if stuff is just it feels forced or whatever, then I just don't post it. And then that goes for the publishing side of it as well too. That goes for pitching songs out. There's a lot of great songs in my catalog, but most of them aren't for me. There's a very select few that I deeply resonate with and connect with, and so I demo them and I like to explore different sounds and constantly be innovating on myself musically and in it from a production perspective. Um, but yeah, it always comes back to what am I actually saying? What am I communicating here? And that's it. So that's it's an ever evolving process. I'm constantly growing as a person, like everybody. Everybody's always growing
I don't think that
as
ever stops.
people, and yeah, and I mean, we just want the best for ourselves. We want to be able to create the best product that we can possibly create, continue to innovate, continue to not only stay on top of like popular culture and what the fans love, but stay on top of yourself, like to stay on top of so that I'm not getting stagnant, so that I'm not just continually creating the same thing. So to be able to take songs that are probably best for somebody else, but produce the crap out of them and just make something totally new and cool.
Mm,
Um, and then just be like, oh, that was cool, or that's a cool new idea. Every time I produce something, I'm coming up with like new sounds and new ways to do something, um, and that's what's exciting about it. That's what keeps me going as a creator, is constantly creating stuff that's new and cool and exciting and fresh, and it's scary and it's like unpredictable, and
yeah,
there's just so many emotions that go along with all of that. But at the end of the day, who are you? What are you trying to say? That's it. Yeah.
that's it. That's it's just that easy, right? But I love what you said about creating and constantly create because
Mhm.
as a creative person, I think a lot of times people, while they're creating, they get those roadblocks or those stops that are just like, oh, you're not doing a good job or you're not good enough. What are you doing? Those moments
Yeah.
of writing and you're just like, oh, this is crap. Like,
Yeah.
but I think just the key is what you said, just keep creating and keep, pushing through those roadblocks and moving through them.
Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've just written like cringy songs that I come back to. I'm like, why? Like, why did I have that idea? That was ridiculous. Like, I thought it was so cool when I came up with it. Like, I remember how I felt about it in the moment, and then you look back at it. Oh my gosh! You're like when you're drunk out with your friends. Like, dude, I've done that so many times. Drunk out with my friends. I'm like, dude, this is like a sick idea, and I put it in my notes, and then I wake up and I'm like, why? Like, why was that an idea that I had? Or whatever. But every now and then you get a little gold, you get a little gem, and like, oh, like that's pretty cool. It's just such a wide like range of, and that's all it is as a creator. Not like a lot of stuff is crap, a lot of stuff is really
Yeah.
bad and cringy and horrible, and you have to I think even if you're not writing, right, like even if um you're just a singer, and you still have a story to tell even if you're not writing that story. And so you're receiving pitches from other writers and stuff. It still has to resonate with you. That still has to be you. It's all about like what the best song is and what the best thing for you is, and you have to be aware that like a lot of those pitches are like not great for you. And that's something that I've learned through just receiving the pitches, and because a lot of them come through like great writers, right? And so it's like really easy to say like, well, these guys wrote it, so this is a great song. It's
Totally.
harder to be like, these guys wrote it and it's great, but it's definitely not great for me. So
So
really like, whatever type of creator you are, I think it's just important to know what type of creator you are, and then to go from there. If you're not a songwriter, or you are just a songwriter, you're not a vocalist, whatever it is, I think that's the key takeaway. Just figure it out. And like it doesn't have to be like concrete. It's never concrete for me. It's always evolving, but at least a comfort in who you are, a comfort in that's what's happening. I think that's important. Yeah.
For sure, yeah, change is constant. I always like to say that and remind myself everything is temporary, but just knowing who you are through those changes and shifts is
Totally.
really makes it
Yeah.
easier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not like you're solving science here or something. I don't know. It's like it doesn't have to be crazy.
That's nice.
It's just like yeah, yeah. It's just literally yeah.
Great conversation, great tips
Yeah.
and words of wisdom. I love it. I would love to hear you play if you're ready. If you're ready to take it on.
Yeah. So let's grab my guitar here. I think this is in tune. It's in tune. Not bad. Rare. So this is Every Little Town. This is the first song we did live off the floor. Every little town seems like the center of it all. You can pick up and move out, but you ain't really moving on. No, every little town is made of more than the world can know. Roots laid down, love lost and found, don't look like much, but it's home. And there's a highway headed to the coast, and tail lights leaving someone alone. In a Main Street bar where heartbreak spends its time, in a porch light waiting on a changing mind. 'Cause every little town has a you and I. Every little town has the same story of its own. The rumors fly around, seems like they never get old. No, every little town is had a share of hearts broken. Too many times to count, love lost and found. It don't matter where you go. There's a highway headed to the coast. Tail lights leaving someone in a Main Street bar where our grace spends time. In a porch light waiting on a changing mind. Every little time has a you and I. Oh, sometimes it's hard to see what you got and Jesus lost. But sometimes you gotta believe, figure out what you want. Every little time, yes, there's someone waiting on us to come back home from a highway headed to the coast. Tail lights leaving someone alone. In a Main Street bar where our race went. In a porch light waiting on a changing mind. Every little time to you.
Yeah, very good. I love that song. It's one of those songs that kind of puts you in a vibe.
It is a vibe. It is a vibe. Yeah. I mean that song, yeah, that was I feel like I wrote that song so quickly because it's just like a small town story. Like it's not like anything too clever or crazy. It's just it's like a song about heartbreak and small town, and it feels like a million stories that I've heard over the years, like growing up, in a small town and around a bunch of small and just like not that kind of big city vibe. 'Cause it's really just about like somebody leaving because they want something different. Somebody staying behind, and the amount of times that has happened, not only to me, but just like to everybody I know. Really easy to write, just really easy to write, really like just kind of fell out. And yeah, I didn't even think about it, honestly. Sent it, wrote like 100 more songs, and then like we came back to it. We are like, yeah, like that one's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you're writing, do you have a process that you typically follow, or do you kind of just go with the flow with whoever you're writing with, or if you're writing alone?
You know, I tend to have a bit of a process. You know, if I'm writing alone, like it's kind of whatever. You know, however the song comes out. If I'm writing with somebody, um, you know, I usually implement a bit more of structure. If it's generally it's just the title thing, right? Just come up with the hook or whatever. Sometimes that doesn't end up being the hook. Sometimes that just ends up influencing the concept.
Yeah.
But we've all got, you know, great ideas for songs, right? In our phones or whatever. So that's where we start. Kind of narrow it down to what everybody's feeling on the right, and then just kind of go from there. If it feels like, oh, that's a great idea, that's really cool, then we like roll with that. Um, and then how we go about, you know, doing that, is just whatever. We might write a chorus first. We might start at the top and just roll out. Maybe, you know, we have some melodies we work off of, but whatever it is, it kind of always just starts with like an idea that we all really, really love. Yeah. When it's my solo stuff, sometimes I literally just sit down, like play some chords, and then just like I just start singing some lines or whatever, you know. Um, and then I kind of build the song from there. There's never really like a right way to do it, and I've never had more success with one method than another method. So it's just whatever.
Cool. So just start with an idea. That's the
Yeah, some kind of idea. You don't even really need an idea. You just gotta like be like, I'm gonna write a song now, and then just like, you know what I mean? That's really all it takes.
let it
Yeah.
go. Oh, that's so fun. Do you have a favorite song that you've ever created?
I mean, not in particular. They're all like my children, so like I can't really say I have a favorite. Um, but you know, I wrote this the latest song we put out, Love for Rolling Stone, which I'll play for you. And it came out in just, this is a really unorthodox, right? Like um I was listening to, I can't remember what Rolling Stone song, but like some Rolling Stone song. And I was like, this song's really cool. And like so like it was just like an old song that like, you know, I'd heard a million times. I don't even remember what song it was, but it was just one, you know, I was working on some track, and I was like using it for a reference for a guitar or something. And I was like, you know, this is really cool. And um I just heard it in a way that I never heard it before. So I went back to the whole Rolling Stones catalog. And this was late at night, like I was pretty much done working on the session that I was working on and everything. And went back to the whole Rolling Stones catalog, just kind of started to like go through some songs that I'd probably never heard before. I was just looking at their titles, and I was like, these are all money lines. Like every single title that the Rolling Stones have ever put out is a money line. I was just like, I'm just gonna write a song with Rolling Stone titles in it, see what comes out, right? See what happens. I went on Splice, got like a little guitar loop. It was this kind of and then that was cool. And so like I just wrote this whole I just like put like a little sort of lo-fi beat behind it, and just wrote this whole song in like an hour,
Oh,
just with like these Rolling Stone titles. Um, and it was one of those, like I just started like from the first line of the song. That's like, you cold a hot stuff love in vain, my sweet Virginia. And right there, I was just like, I know what this song's about, right? It's about I mean, it's about somebody that you love who's never really around. It's somebody that you love who doesn't really know who they are, and is just trying to figure stuff out, and they're kind of distant, they're unattached. And you're just so obsessed, and you know you shouldn't be, but you just can't help it. And that's all the song's about. But I did it through the titles of these Stone songs. Um, and it just all really came together, because that hook is Rolling Stone. And it really describes this girl I'm talking about in the song. I mean, it's just like, she's a Rolling Stone. So
cool.
I'll play the song for you. Yes, it's and the way that the band like interpreted this, just from like my little like lo-fi loop, is just, it's unreal. They nailed it, and we did it right on the day too. Like we had no plan, and Sean Moore, the drummer, was like, dude, like what about this? And I was like, yeah, dude, that's sick. And he's playing the thing on the toms, and then everybody else just kind of like jumped in on it, and I was like, that's the song, that's the whole thing. So it's just a cool vibe. You're cold, I still love in vain, my sweet Virginia, out of control. You start me up, and I go wild under your thumb. Flopping flat down on a blue ride, I'm just your fool and a fool to cry. Shine a light on the cover of the night. Flip the switch, anybody see mine? Baby, it's only rock and roll, like a rolling stone. Anybody see my baby? She's a heartbreaker, a midnight rambler. You got this silver, but you paint it black. Sweet as brown sugar, but you paint it black. Oh, rain, but you paint it black. Blue and lonesome, but you paint it black. My sweet little angel sympathy for the devil, baby. Your rainbow, and I'm blinded by the rainbow. Anybody see my baby? It's only rock and roll, like a rolling stone. Anybody see my baby? She's a heartbreaker, a midnight rambler. Yeah. Ooh, I hate to see you go. I want all of you, but I'm just a fool, and I can't quit you. You don't have to go. I want all of you, but I'm just a fool, and I can't quit you. No, I can't quit you, baby. It's only like a rolling stone. Anybody see my baby? She's a heartbreaker, midnight rambler. And that's Rolling Stone.
Yeah, I love that one too. You got some kind of cool country vibey stuff going. It's very
Thank
good.
you. Yeah, man.
It's
It's all about the vibe. It's all about the vibe, dude. If it don't feel cool, then what are we doing here? It's gotta feel good.
That's right. No, that's awesome. Well, I love everything you're doing, and you've got lots of fun, exciting things coming up in the future. So I look forward to seeing all the fun stuff that you're putting out and creating, because that's what we're here for as creators, to create, as you said, which is great. Yeah. I always love to wrap up these episodes with the question, if you had one message to share with the world, what would that be?
Just keep on keeping on, baby. That's it. That's it. Just keep on moving forward. I mean, that's all that we can do, especially right now, is just like keep going. You know, it's weird, and I know that like it definitely can feel depressing and like anxiety inducing and all those things at times for everybody. Um, but just keep on keeping on. That's the whole thing. That's all. Just keep on. If you're creating, if you're whatever you're doing, just rock and roll. That's it.
That's perfect. Perfect advice, perfect message. That's all we can do, right? Is keep moving forward and keep shining our light, and whatever that looks like. Be you, do
Yeah.
you, keep creating, keep on keeping on. That's our message for the show today. So thank you so much, Dustin Bird, for joining us on The Artist Behind the Music. It was a pleasure to chat with you and hear you play.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely.